Welcome to Church of the Chair, where we celebrate all the things we do while seated. I'm your host E, here with my co-host Chad Lutzke. We are collaborating on a new project, tentatively called Planet Caravan, and we want you guys to be a part of it. So come on in, sit down, relax, and watch us outline this Joker. Yesterday we did brainstorming what we wanted to write about, and today we are going to be outlining, throwing things around. Chad has a really unique idea that I finally wrapped my head around. He brought it up during yesterday's stream, but I still wasn't digging the vibe. I couldn't parse what he was getting at. And now I do, which is literally we outline this thing so that we know where we're going. And then I will write like chapter 1 and he'll write chapter 2 as I'm writing chapter 1, or vice versa. He'll write chapter 1, I'll write chapter 2. And then, we go on from there, and that's how we'll write. So you guys will literally be able to watch the book written in real time at the same time most of the time. So I'm not sure. I'm sure there will be times when I won't be able to write. The chat will be able to write, so on and so forth. But yeah, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Boggle Queen. Anything you want to say before we get started, Chad?
In regard to writing at the same time, I did think last night that I think at least the very first chapter perhaps should be written first, so that we understand the voice of our protagonist. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of cutting and pasting, and like that doesn't work. We need to probably establish, since it's first person, the voice of our character before. Once we get to know him a little bit, then it'll be like, okay, cool, got this now.
Yeah. All right. I'm completely fine with that. I was going to bring up the same thing. Like, we either need to do like a test run and together and get the voice right first, because we're doing first person. I also have an idea. We'll get to this in a minute, but an idea for how we will get the POV from the other side of the fence, the people who are chasing him. And I think it'll work in first person without breaking the walls. You might dig it, you might not. But yes, I completely 100% agree. We need to focus on that first and get to know this character before we both go running off in opposite directions. Because I started writing stuff yesterday, just playing with voices, and I sent it to Chad. Chad's like, "That's a little bit too much for me." Told me today that's a little bit too much. Let me read it to you guys, since I did it off camera. I'm just gonna read it to you guys.
Do it. Perfect.
Let's see here, just so you know everything we've been doing off there. Oh Lord, did I not? I'm gonna have to put. I don't even think I have it saved anymore. Oh yeah. Okay, here we go. I didn't actually write it down. I wrote it in the actual message to you, because it was just stuck in my head. All right, so here we go. The sack of shit across from me doesn't know he's about to get took. Big old bitch, but not tall. 5'7", 300 if he's an ounce. Breath like a shit-packed garbage disposal. Pit stains the size of Texas. Wall-eyed, too, as if Mother Nature hated this one motherfucker most of all. And that is abrasive as hell to open, but that's like the first voice that came to me when I started thinking about this. And I even mentioned, Chad, I was like, if you don't like it, I'm completely fine with that, because I know how abrasive that sounds. And Chad's like, yeah, let's pull it back a little bit. And we discussed what certain terms we're comfortable using and what we're not comfortable using, all that stuff. So yeah, I'm ready to jump into this outlining stuff. Okay. Chat, we're pretty much going to keep eyes. Oh, I'm at least going to keep eyes off chat so I can focus. But we'll open it up. If anybody has questions, we'll open it up toward the end. We'll probably go for another hour today, if not a little longer or a little less. Depends on how much stuff we get done. I don't imagine we're going to be doing any writing today. It's all going to be outlining and getting this stuff. Yeah. Also, I have no problem with you starting. So if you want to start, I would rather, and this might sound a little lazy, it probably is, but I would rather probably you start, since I can be so abrasive, since I just run off on my own. It's probably better if you start, and then I can mimic what you're doing. Okay. Instead of trying to come together on a single voice. I will just try to mimic what you're doing. But for the most part, I can do your style And I'm very happy doing your style. You know, it's not much different from south of here, that kind of thing. So, and other stuff I've written, but
Okay.
yeah. So my idea right off the bat, uh, my idea for showing the people chasing him would be to have some kind of setup where he is somehow infiltrated, not like stealthily, but he's been brought into whoever he's going to rob, their association or whatever, and he has a connection already inside the organization. And but we wouldn't make it obvious that this person brought him in, but he knows this person, and he ends up getting in anyways. And so while he's on the run, he can get constant updates from. I don't know how we're going to do this because we're talking 70s or whatever, but he can get some kind of updates from the dude that's with him, maybe a phone call at a, phone booth or whatever at a certain time every day or something, and he can update them. And then about halfway through the story, when he thinks he's well and good and off and there's, nothing's going on, suddenly his friend stops calling. And that way we know that, expect them, because I can no longer divert. Well, of course you can't divert him now because he's dead. And that's when everything goes to pot, and that's when they have to get ready for the possibility. He has to be honest with the carnival folks, or whatever you want to call it. Be like, yo, these people. But enough time, of course, is going to have to pass so that he's in the fold with these people, and they'll be willing to, maybe he's a hero at some point in time. Who knows? Something small that ingratiates them to him, or brings him into the fold, so on and so forth. And then, of course, we already know we can get the character build up from the guy on the phone. It's like, so-and-so says if he finds you, he's going to do this to you, and they got these people after you. Don't be here or there. They know you're going here, so on and so forth. So, that was my idea. I don't know.
Love it. I think that will work really well. I have my ideas of people who live in this house. We could add one. We could choose one that would be
definitely.
That would be that.
And I was also wondering, this might be a little too goofy for you, but I still like the idea of Planet's Caravan, like the possessive. It doesn't have to be that. Don't get me wrong, but the Planet's Caravan, and have like the main, like 9 characters, or 8 at this point. I'm sorry, Pluto, and have them named like Mars and Jupiter and Uranus and that kind of thing. It might be too goofy for you, but carnivals and things work like that. It's always nicknames. It's on brand nicknames. So that was an idea I just want to throw out there. Don't have to use it. But I do like the idea of. I love the idea of the title. So I think I want to stick with that no matter what we do. But my literary brain is also like, we got to make Planet Caravan important. Like there's got to be a reason for that other than the Black Sabbath tune. Well,
that's why, that's why. Well, because we've got these essentially these caravans going from town to town,
right?
And this kid's whole world now. So that's kind of how like his whole world now is just a planet of caravans, traveling from town to town. And and for somebody who isn't even familiar with the song, which is a deep cut anyway.
Yeah.
Unless you're a big Pantera fan, I guess, and
Well, yeah, it was more popular after Pantera did it in that tribute album. It was far more popular in that one, or their cover just off by its side. It got far more popular after that. But
yeah, for sure. But it's always been one of my, back in the day when I used to get stoned and all the time, it's the perfect, like, just I had a tape that had this thing, and I put, that's all that was on. It was on loop, on a cassette tape. I just constantly, and so it's always been one of my, it's a strange outlier of a song for that band. But somebody who doesn't even know the origins of the title, I think it sounds cool, because it's like, what, it's like one of those things like, what do you mean, like Planet Caravan? Like, I think the words fit well together, and they sound good. So if you're not even familiar with it, it's kind of like one of those things. It's like, It's not off-putting, but it's like, what is this? What does it mean, Planet Caravan?
Yeah, it's intriguing. It
Yeah.
definitely catches the attention, it piques interest is what I was trying to say. All right.
But yeah, I love the idea of solving that, of building the tension through the phone calls, where since we're writing in first person, knowing kind of what's going on the other end.
Right.
At least the guy hopes he knows what's going on through his source. I was thinking about ages last night, and if he's any older than the age of 16, why didn't he just kind of leave a long time ago?
Gotcha.
So I thought
I like
if
16.
he ended up at this place at the age of 12, let's say, so he's lived most of his life knowing better than the examples that have been around him with these people. And I figured like maybe it could be an uncle, just kind of like the black sheep uncle and his wife, complete mess, drug dealers, started out as small crime.
And it could be the cousin that. It could be the. I forgot about that. You wanted almost the Harry Potter beginning, where he ends up with the family. I just remembered that. So it could be like the cousin that, and then we could have the implied drama of the cousin helping, and then you find out that they're so serious that they killed their own kid because he was helping, or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because they would never suspect that it's their own kid helping the other kid get away. Does that work?
Yeah, if I know what you're saying.
So the family that he's with, the one that he's with, is first.
They find out and they put a stop to it because their own kid is
Right.
narking on them
Right.
on these phone calls. Yeah. Yeah, that'll work.
Instead of some outsider bringing him in, he's already a part of it. I forgot all about the family thing that you want to do, and I fucking love that idea, because we can build that up. Yeah, I mean, just that alone that makes my opening. I forgot all about that. I should have watched yesterday's before we came in here. That's a great idea.
I figured a fourth of the book probably would take place in this house, establishing all of this stuff that he goes through. Well, I'll just lay out my idea about the beginning of the book, because I've got pretty much everything laid out up into him taking off. I was picturing like aunt, uncle, just white trash. They also have his other uncle lives there. It's one of those houses where nobody can get up off their ass to get a job, so they all just kind of live together and they do their thing. So you've got the other uncle there with his girlfriend, and she's pregnant. So there's 4 people right there. And then with the cousin, and then maybe one other person, but they're all, with the exception of the younger cousin, they're all in this together.
Right.
As far as doing their crime, and now they've got. Well, one day the main uncle comes home. He's got a kilo of cocaine. I figured we could use cocaine. We're talking late 80s, early 90s. I don't know where this is taking place, but even though heroin's been around for decades and decades, and so has meth, it wasn't widely available as much as like cocaine was.
Yeah, heroin was almost exclusively small black communities when it first started gaining a foothold in like the
jazz musicians,
70s, but it was
jazz musicians in
30s and all that. Yes, all that stuff.
People. And then rock stars in the UK, in the 70s and stuff like that. It was kind of like it was a different drug. It took a long time to really be widespread like it is now. So I thought maybe cocaine.
Yeah.
He comes home. Go ahead.
Let me throw this out real quick. So you have, what if the uncle, I mean, we're almost in 3 Smile Mile territory here, but what if the uncle stole that to begin with, or he stole money to be able to buy that to flip
that's
it?
That's what I was getting at.
Okay. Right. So we're on the same page. Gotcha.
Yep. He comes home with his kilo. Doesn't say where he got it from, but it's clear it's stolen.
Yeah.
excites everybody. This is a game changer. I did some pricing. I think the street value of this kilo would be around 300,000. I'll have to look more than just one chart, but that's the number I'm coming up with.
I also have old druggy friends, so I can that are like in their 80s now, so I can ask them what this shit cost back then. But also,
Okay.
I think you're about right with 300K for a kilo of cocaine around that time, anywhere between 250 and 400. So it depends on what the grade is, but yeah,
Yeah.
I would say 300 is good.
It also apparently depends on how much is being sold at a time. So if somebody
Yeah.
is if you're selling it out like, 10 grams or lower, you charge more. And if you're charging like, more than 10 grams at a time, then I guess you charge less. It's kind of like a deal or whatever. So, but the stuff is stolen. So you've got people after them,
Mm-hmm.
which makes this whole trail of, because once it gets stolen from them, then you've got like this, like the old Pink Panther cartoon when the dinosaur's chasing after the bone and the dude's
Yeah.
behind him, and except for instead of this being passed back and forth, it's just this constant chase.
That could be part of the ending. All right, let's say I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but at the end, they, instead of like taking care of, the carnies taking care of the family unit, they could, like, I don't know, somehow incapacitate them, or maybe just one of them, and that would be the ending, dropping him off at the person he stole from. Like, I think that would be a cool final ending. Like the original guy, waking up, walking out of sight of his house, maybe dudes in a van down the street just watching, and they've sat the uncle in the middle of this guy's yard, duct taped, and said, and here the coke is in his lap, and whatever's left of it is like, here you go, here's your thing. I don't know. I think that's a funny image, and like I said, I'm probably getting ahead of myself, but to bring it full circle and bring the person that the uncle stole from to begin with back into the fold somehow, I think would be really cool thematically.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So you've gotten kind of like this cat and mouse thing, but I'm a little ahead of myself. I want to still talk about the house. Yeah. So the household consists of the husband and wife, which are the aunt and uncle, as well as the husband's brother, the other uncle. And I was also thinking of, so you've got this other nasty uncle. He's just single. He's just a follower by himself. So that's 3.
And that's the one with the pregnant wife.
No. Then he has a son who's 24 years old and has a trashy pregnant wife.
Oh, okay. So we're talking about a huge unit of people. Do we want to do a house, or do we want to do a double wide and really make it like roach infested, cramped, and just utterly fucking miserable?
I think either way, it probably wouldn't matter. We can make the house trashy anyway. Squeaky or squeaky porch door, all that.
Yeah.
Weak floorboards, all that kind of stuff. Just nasty. And then so trashy pregnant wife, and then the younger cousin.
Mm-hmm.
Like young, like maybe 9 or something like that.
Yeah, that would be devastating. Yeah.
So none of these people really care for the protagonist. He's nothing but a hindrance for their lifestyle and a constant reminder that they've made bad choices. And because he's just not down with that. Like I said, he's been living there for 4 years, but when he starts hearing about this guy coming up, hey, I got this thing, it's going to change our lives. We can get out of this dump. We can, all we got to do is sell this and whatever else. So this kid who's 16 goes to 15 or 16 goes to this carnival that's in town. Doesn't have any money, so he's not going to be riding rides and playing the games and stuff because he just doesn't have the cash.
We can even let him sneak in. Like,
yeah,
he doesn't even have the fare.
I don't know that you have to sneak in. You just can't do crap, right? Is that how it works?
Well, the ones around here, I'm not saying all of them are like this, because I've been to the ones where you can just walk in and then you pay for everything else. But the ones around here, especially like the ones that you were talking about, that smell like pigs and tractors,
Yeah.
those you have like a $5 admission fee. So no matter what, they're making money off of you. And some of the bigger ones, I have been to two, but that was when I was out west, and they were like local attractions that didn't move. But all the carnivals, all the traveling ones that I've been to, and this is just my experience. You pay at least something to get in, or you bring
Okay.
like a bag of canned goods. So he could 100% do that too. I don't know if they did that back in the 70s. I'm pretty sure they might have, but and then that the carnies literally use the canned goods. This isn't like a charity to collect for
Right.
local people. They literally eat off that stuff. So it's either the however much back then it'd probably be like $1 to get into something like that, because nowadays it's like $5, especially the one that comes here every every August. But yeah, or we can either way he could like
I like if you have to pay. I like that idea much better because it goes better with my next part. I was gonna have this kid go behind a barn or whatever, one of the big barns they have, to take a piss, but it works better if he's sneaking in, and he's maybe done this before or whatever. He's sneaking in. While he's sneaking in, he sees this girl taking a piss behind this barn that I was going to have him pee behind too, but sneaking in, sees her just copping a squat, taking a piss right there behind this thing. She's working there. She's same age, 16 years old. She's been with this carnival since she was like 13. Dated one of the guys there that was like 35 or something when she was really young. Cut it off. But she used
the
to.
Ferris wheel operator. The Ferris wheel operator is always creepy. So 100% Ferris wheel operator.
She used to work one of the games, then upgraded to operating the carousel, which is broke down this particular night. So she's kind of got the night off and she's just doing whatever. They strike up conversation or whatever, realizes he's sneaking in, she's very kind of streetwise and assertive, but well-read. And smart for her age, because she's seen a lot, joining this place at 13, having a boyfriend old enough to be her dad at one point.
Yeah.
Then she just they almost kind of have like this date where they end up going on rides and stuff because she has this pull. She steals some tickets for him just so they can. She knows she's not going to be able to get away with playing all these games to win prizes.
Right.
And she thinks it's highly romantic to have a boy win her, a big prize or whatever. Yeah. So she's kind of forcing this kid into some kind of strange date. And she is the catalyst for, I like this. This is different. I'm stealing that thing and I'm going to do what she did. I'm going to join this and I'm going to bring those drugs with me.
Right.
That's about as far as I've got.
That's yeah. I mean, I'm down with all that. Yeah. I'm thinking I don't have any issue with that whatsoever, because I'm going to have fun if I get to write some of that section, because I've done that several times in different in different stories with different themes and things like that. To some extent, I kind of did it in betting during that, when the kid, it's kind of like the opposite, but him being alone and without somebody, he realizes how much of his childhood he lost. And then, but in this one, it would be more like how much of his childhood he could still claim. Like he could, he'd be traveling, having fun, be able to go on rides whenever he wants to, run concession stands, all that, whatever he gets to do. It would be the exact opposite of that thing. You had this kid who never had a childhood, wanting to, reclaim some of the fun. So the carnival would really be a beacon of hope for him. And, he's stuck in this stagnant place, and I'm getting way too literary and deep with this, but he's stuck in this stagnant place, this violent, abusive, detestable situation, whatever we want to do with it. And then he ends up at this carnival. He, meets the girl, awkward situation. Maybe she's not awkward at all, but he's hella awkward. And she's like, wow, you've never seen anybody piss anyway. I'm just running things through my head.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then,
like she's not, like when she's busted, She won't even stop. She doesn't
Yeah,
care.
exactly. She's like,
That's just
"Can
how
I
she
help you?"
is.
She's sitting there with it, holding on to pulling, pulling her panties and the skirt out so she doesn't pee on them, and she's like, "Can I help you?"
Yeah,
That kind of
she's
thing.
not
Yeah,
shy. And
yeah, exactly.
she brings that, being. I love girls like that who are assertive. Doesn't
Mhm,
have to be sexually assertive. Just like the guy is learning from this
mhm.
girl. I like that. Whether it's just be strictly platonic, I don't really care. I just like those kinds of relationships, and I do. I did it with Three Smile because I also like age difference relationships.
Yeah,
Um, that might be whether it's just like not freaky like Three Smile or whether it's freaky like Betting of Boys.
yeah,
I just like that strange dynamic. Maybe because it's different and everything else can feel cliche.
yeah.
Maybe I don't
I
know.
I agree with that. I also prefer assertive female characters, so I'm completely on board with that. Um, the Yeah, I really love the idea. We can play with that so much, going from the first quarter of the book, like you said, just building up the family unit, uh, defining those characters, developing those characters, then moving on to almost like a complete reset and reboot, where we are now building up the relationship and the characters, showing the difference between where he came from and where he is, how everybody in the carnival is so accepting and welcoming, and everybody helps each other. It's an actual family unit, and coming from a blood family unit that couldn't have given a shit about him. And then the quote unquote date night as they go around and she's introducing him to people, and she, like you said, they're winning prizes, he's stealing tickets, whatever it might be. That whole that's fucking magic. That's the kind of thing I'm here for.
Mm,
And also it reminds me very much of, and I'm not saying, I'm not comparing it, but that's also how Twilight Eyes by Dean Koontz goes. Is
mm,
Slim McKenzie is a young dude, he's about 18 years old. He's just kind of a nomad running around. He ends up at this carnival and he meets this assertive woman, but she's a grown ass woman. I think she's in her 30s. And they end up forming a relationship, and one of the most awkward sex scenes in any of Dean Koontz books. But that's the only bad part of that book. And it then it's him being brought into the fold and becoming a part of this family unit. Anyways, needless to say, I fucking love it. I'm all over this. Uh, yeah, I'm trying to think. So are we starting? Let's say we start like your opening chapter would be him at 12 losing his parents and having to go live with. Do you want to do something like that, or do you want it to
I
open
think we
up
should start. I like the idea of just starting like dumping him in the middle of this house
in media
and then
res? Okay.
slowly kind of revealing, no kind of info dump, but just slowly revealing his situation. But unless I mean, we could do it would. It feels like if we did the age started at the age of 12, it would feel more like a prologue.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was saying. And some people don't even like prologues, so what the fuck? I don't know. Um, but
They just don't like the word prologue. I don't understand
because I can't pronounce it. No, I'm just kidding. Prologue you. Anyways, I'm just kidding.
like they'd be fine if this said chapter 1, but if it says prologue, it's like I'm not going to read this. I don't want this.
Well, most people, the complaint I hear is that it's not actually part of the story. Like there's no reason for a prologue because you find out what happens in the prologue later on in most books, so there's no point in it. But
Mm,
prologues are especially important in genre fiction because they set up the action. You're opening with something with something to sink your teeth into, instead of like more like a Stephen King where you get to know everybody slowly before the
yeah.
bad shit even starts happening. Um, but I suddenly had this image of opening up the book with this kid sitting on the porch steps of this trailer chucking rocks into a tin can. Like I don't know why, but I got it's especially in a very cinematic sense. Like
Okay.
we're just kind of panning out, and there's just a kid chucking rocks into this old coffee can, and then that's the leaping point. Like someone popping up and going, "Quit all that damn racket," because maybe he's obsessed with the sound of the rock hitting the can. It's
Yeah.
like ding, ding, and then he can be at the carnival later on and hear that same sound from like the fucking hammer machine or whatever it is, the ding ding, and that brings back, that it's subtle shit like that that I like to put into stories.
Mm.
But it's just another thing where he's a little bit sensitive to certain sounds, and there's certain, almost like an ASMR, people stimming off of that kind of thing, and
Mm.
he just likes that sound, and that's just one more thing for him to fall in love with at the carnival. Is they're all, maybe that's like a theme, it's all the right sounds. It's, not the bad sounds like people screaming and, angry breathing and things like that get under his skin, but it's all the bright, everything is bright and happy, and all the sounds are cheerful. But in his mind, since he's so young, he would just think something like those are the right sounds, not the bad sounds. And I like that a lot.
Yeah.
If we don't use that, fucking man, I'm using it. But anyway, I really like that idea. But that's the very first thing that came to me just now as you were talking, was that vision of him
Yeah, like it.
chucking, yeah, chucking stones, ding,
We
ding,
could,
and then,
he could also be in love with the camaraderie, obviously, at the carnival. But I
oh
think
yeah,
it's important to have a protagonist or an antagonist within the carnival too, and maybe it could be the Ferris wheel guy that used
yeah.
to date. And if the people show up and they're like, point us toward the kid or whatever, he's like, he's freaking right over there, because you
Yeah,
don't want the kid there because
because
he's
now the kid is now running around with his ex.
right.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Having the Ferris wheel operator, it would be better than like the cliched like fun house. The guy who runs the fun house, or the barker that's loud and annoying. I like subverting expectations, and I think the Ferris wheel guy would be perfect, because Ferris wheel operators are usually in real life, they're usually the seediest of, because they like, the younger couples getting on. I've read and seen several videos talking about how that particular job brings in the trash for
Mhm.
whatever reason, because it's not really a ride that goes quickly. It's something where, you can be hands on putting the belts on and all that. And of course there's other rides like that, but with this one, you can watch slowly, and you're able to get a good view of whoever's on the ride. And this is the kind of shit that I came across going through all my research for this other project. All the dynamics within the carnival, and how of course there's a hierarchy. We all know that there's the owner, there's, the bottom is the roustabouts, the tent men, or whatever, the ones that put everything up. And then you have the concession stands, you have the ride operators, and then if you have performers, they are usually directly below the owner of the circus or carnival or whatever it might be. So that tends to be the hierarchy. And putting the Ferris wheel guy there in the middle, he wouldn't have any real, what's it called? Not obligation, but any real fealty to the big dogs. And he
Mhm.
also wouldn't care about people like the roustabouts. And if we make our main character a roustabout at the beginning, then he really wouldn't care what happened to the kid, especially since he usually takes care of, erecting the Ferris wheel by himself, or just him and his little lackey sidekick that he has, like a little yes man that runs around with him. I think that would be funny too. And I always like quirky side characters, so my brain's always working with stuff like that. But yeah, so Ferris wheel operator is an antagonist within the carnival, and the whole drama there is that she is spending way too much time with the new guy, and then at the same time you have the family trying to find where he went. Um, and that could be as easy as, back then you didn't really know where circus and carnivals were going to end up. They had their own schedule that they followed, and the towns knew they were coming, but it wasn't like you could do an internet search back then and find out where this place is going to come up next.
Yeah.
So the cousin could call and be like, they know what town you're going to be in, they don't know where you're going to be in that town, or whatever. And every single one of those phone calls would get a little more and more stressful until the phone calls stop altogether. We already talked about that. Yeah, I'm really really enjoying this. I can see it very clearly, and I think that's the most important part, especially in collaborating, that both people can see everything that's going on very clearly. So yeah, I'm good.
Awesome. I don't I I'm I don't see enough of this to have a full outline yet, but I feel like there's enough here to, like I said, I can see the first, 100 pages being taken place at the house,
Yeah,
you
we
know,
can do that easy.
and the buildup of just so that by the time he leaves, um, that he would, if this were one of my books that I'd written a couple of years ago, I would probably start at him bolting out the door,
Yeah.
and then, but I'm trying to back up a little bit with some of my stuff and make it,
Yeah,
and
if we're going for the presses that we talked about,
yeah,
we're 100% going to have
yeah,
some kind of build up. They're not going to be down with just opening, jumping. And on top of that, that also cuts out a lot of the character development that we would need. I'm not saying, never mind. All the reasoning, it is better
yeah,
to start this way
I
than it
agree.
would be to bolt out the door. But I suffice to say that I would 100% read the Lutzke book version, where it's just him running out the door and then filling in people at the carnival what happened. But yeah, for this one, definitely the first 100 pages of that, and then 100 pages of just him being involved with the carnival, getting to know people, drama in the carnival from like Ferris Wheel Man, whatever, all of that, and then the last 100 pages, right at the beginning of the last 100 pages, it could be there's no phone call. That could be like the last part of part two is uh it's been several days and I've heard nothing from the cousin. This is a problem. They must be closing in. And then the final bit of it is final 50 to 100 pages would be the the family finding him and showdown, whatever, what have you. And I am all for. I am a big fan of big endings. I know that you like to leave things either open or everybody. You're pretty much like Lauren in the fact that most people either die or they're in a worse situation at the end of the book than at the beginning. At least with my fate. Well, that's not right either because Skullface Boy has a very positive ending.
Yeah,
But
there's only a couple, like maybe Wallflower and
that's
Three
that.
Smile,
Yeah.
and yeah, most of them. Uh, I mean, even the happiness is kind of ambiguous.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes. Yeah.
it's like this seems like it's happy, and the Cannibal Creator has a devastating ending too. But
Yeah.
but yeah, but yeah, I like him a little bit open ended, um,
Well,
sort
I'm
of
saying what I was getting at with is I like big endings.
big
I
endings.
like,
Yeah,
and I don't know if you're on board with this or not. Tell me up front. I like the idea of the carnival having shut down for the weekend and it being, pretty much closed up. And that's what the family is waiting for so that they can go in and snatch this kid. And then, every corner they turn, there's another almost like running through like the entire place is a fun house, but not that they've set traps or anything, but they maybe the sideshow people hide in the dark and jump out at them, that kind of thing. And it's them getting trapped inside this place when they thought they were the ones attacking, finding out that they're trapped in this carnival with all these people that have our main characters back. I really like that idea, because that would also bring the family theme back around where we take care of our own kind of thing, which that's another theme in my other project, but that's just a carnival theme to begin with because they do take care of each other and they
mhm.
don't allow outside sources to take care of anything, so they 100% wouldn't call the cops. And most of them usually either have a long rap sheet or they're on the run from something,
Okay,
or whatever it might be. So 100% these people do not call the cops, and when the cops do come in, they do not talk. So I like the idea of that style ending where it is, not really horror, but more of a thriller aspect where we have a bigger payoff since we're going to be here longer than a normal Lutzke book. Um, and then we can, we could even, as far as like an open ending, like I said, we can have them drop the dude off on the front lawn of the guy he stole the drugs from. I think that would be interesting. But mainly, what I'm asking your approval for is that ending with going, them getting trapped when they thought that they were the ones that were hunting. They end up becoming the hunted. So
Now, are we talking about the family, or is the family killed by the people who actually owned the coke in the first place?
it could be maybe some of the family gets taken by the guys, like you need to the whoever had the coke to begin with, maybe some of it, so it's just a small group of people, like the father, not the father, the two uncles. Maybe the two uncles go to try and reclaim. They finally track him down. They're in just as many dire straits as, I don't know. I guess it would be. I kind of like the idea of letting the people that he stole from kind of stay on the outside for the
I
entire
think I do
book.
too. It sounds a little convoluted if we get
Right.
have this double chase going on. What if, to even build more hatred toward the white trash family, what if we have them take one of their own and feed it to the people he stole it from and say, "This is your guy," and so they end up killing him, and he's like, we don't know what he did with your coke, like maybe the 24-year-old son and his pregnant wife, they're the
Oh,
ones
that's
who took it.
good.
And so
I like
that
that.
establishes just how evil this family is, and then we don't have to deal with that other, like, organized whatever group or
Right.
whatever the
Now, do you
original
want
dealers.
them to kill the cousin, or do you want them to just like find out and then like punish him? Well, I don't know how we would find that out. That would be the issue with the first person narrative. How would we find out what happens to the cousin? Why the phone calls stop?
Well,
That's
yeah. Well, ahead of that, he could say in the phone calls, he could say, "Hey, um, fill them in on what's going on," but also say like, um, they fed Bobby and his wife,
right.
whatever, to there, so now they're not chasing. But I don't know exactly how to the phone calls to stop. I don't know that this kid could be calling since they're traveling. The 16-year-old kid could be calling the
The
house
pe-
or the
the
trailer or whatever.
Yeah, either that or a
But
designated
now
cell
he's
phone.
but now he's not answering anymore, and they have some kind of code that they work with.
Right.
Like maybe the kid gets his carnival girlfriend and says, "Pretend you're an 8-year-old
Right.
boy. Pretend you're the kid that lives down the street that my cousin always plays with, and that you're
We can,
calling."
yes, but we can also set up that this family unit, all the adults are so fucking lazy that they make the kid answer the phone. It's like, whatever his name,
Yeah,
Larry. Larry, get the fucking phone. That
yeah,
kind of thing.
hmm
And so Larry's always the one who answers the phone anyway.
yeah,
Um, the Maybe before he leaves, he tells the kid, the cousin, before he skips out, or maybe he leaves him a note or whatever, and he's like, I gotta go, I can't do this anymore. So he leaves a note with him. Maybe the kid hides the note, and that's how they eventually find it. Is maybe they're tearing apart the house looking for something or whatever, and they come across this note and find out that they've been talking to each other this whole time.
yeah,
I think that would be, I yeah, yeah. Let's
yeah.
let's let's do it that way, and then the phone calls can stop, and then main character can find out what happened to cousin when the other folks come in. Is like, why hasn't Larry called me, that kind of thing, before the final bit of the book. It's like, why hasn't, it's like, we got rid of him. What do you mean we got rid of anything like that? I don't
hmm
know. Or he's been punished, just some
yeah.
kind of vague, really dark line like that, a real flippant, we punished him. It's like what the fuck does that mean?
I
Yeah.
really like the idea of having the carnival owner, like the main guy, has his own like trailer,
Mhm.
and it's decked out. He's like Quagmire or Larry from Three's Company, a huge like just womanizer, but he has a strong moral code like he has never been down with, like, if anything, he likes older women. You
Okay.
know, he's never been down with the Ferris wheel guy and their relationship.
Right.
And maybe the only reason why the guy's still working is because he owed his dad a favor or something like that.
Yeah.
But he has a strong moral code. He looks after, um, but his whole thing is decked out with freaking like one of those vans with the velvet inside and all the, you
Yeah,
know,
the
like
tassels in the doorway and
yeah,
shit.
like
Yeah.
the love machine, you know, like this is
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Okay.
my if he could, his bed would be heart shaped and would be spinning
That's
all the
awesome.
time.
That is
You
so
know,
good.
he's
Oh,
got
that
the
is so good, dude.
he's got the
I love
lotions and the toys, and
Oh,
it's his thing. But he does have this. He draws a line. You know, he does have like this strange moral code where,
yeah.
you know, like, yeah, I like the idea that, yeah, and it just makes him kind of like oddball, and he's always, he thinks he's, I don't know, David Lee Roth, and he's, every time they go to a town, he just thinks he's gonna pick out you and me tonight, you know, in my love
Maybe he
machine.
has a celebrity he almost impersonates. Like he doesn't really impersonate them, but like a who is it from Led Zeppelin, lead singer? Jimmy
Robert
Page,
Plant.
Robert Plant. Like, you know, some kind of that persona where he, you know, he's like shirtless or whatever it might be. He's got like only a vest on and then really tight bell bottoms, that kind of thing. Yeah, I'm feeling this. I really like. I love the idea of the spinning heart shaped bed. That is that's fucking amazing. That's the kind of shit that sticks out in stories like this. I love that.
I like the
Um,
idea of him being not necessarily attractive. It's his confidence that
yeah,
kind of oozes his sex
charisma.
appeal.
Yeah,
So he, you know, if he were to look more like John Waters or Gomez from the Addams Family or something, where it's just like, dude, you're kind of greasy, but you're kind of hot too, and I
yeah,
don't know why.
yeah, yes. Uh, yeah, almost like an Austin Powers thing. Like he's got the mojo.
Yeah,
But he is not handsome whatsoever, and that's kind of what I was getting at with the whole he wanted to be Plant, you know, but the face doesn't quite fit. Like you
yeah.
have the long curly luscious hair, and he wears like the same getup, but yeah, at the same time he's just this greasy, ugly dude. John Waters, the that image that you put in my head is of John Waters' face on fucking Robert Plant. And I'm just, and now I can't unsee it. Anyways,
Get the little tiny.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, the
mustache.
pencil the pencil
Yeah,
mustache. Oh yeah, that's perfect. I like that, and a very sharp nose, not hooked, but just a very sharp
yeah.
nose. Uh, uh, I even now I have this, you know, he's like balding on the top, but maybe the hair over here he won't let go
He's
of
got a
the long
skullet.
hair. Yeah, skullet, exactly. Yeah, I love that idea, man. And it'd just be a complete mystery to everyone how he keeps bringing women home or whatever. But yet, like you said, you know, he's charismatic and he's fun to be
Yeah,
around, and you know, he's boisterous and he just draws people in. He's almost like a cult leader, and that's how these dynamics work in carnivals anyways. The main person is like a king, like a Roma king. Also, the only word I won't use in this kind of context is the G word for, you know, the Roma, the traveling nomads. I don't like that word. I have a
so like
friend.
gypsy, is that a
Yeah,
dirty
yeah.
word?
It's a slur. You can look it up. I didn't find out about it until about 6 years ago. I had a friend and I brought it up, and they're Roma. Their whole family lineage is Roma. So it's but back in this time, it would be, they would say that word, of course. But yeah, so
Oh yeah,
I
I
don't
had no idea that
yeah,
that.
I don't use it personally, and I don't write it. I don't put it in books. And when I talk about it, I do use Roma instead of that word. So
Mm.
that would be the only thing that I kind of stand away from. But I don't mind if you use it. I don't care if it's in a book that my name's on. Don't get me wrong, because I also understand that, you know, that's how people spoke. So if that word does come up, completely fine. Anyways, but that's kind of how that whole culture, you know, they have a king, everyone that they look up to, and that person pretty much rules. Like I was talking about earlier with the hierarchy, there's the different levels of respect in the carnival, and it's usually right underneath the king is any performer, like, but that's more circus-ish than it is carnival, because we're talking big top kind of thing where the ringmaster or whatever is the king of the thing. In this one, it would be more the attractions would be higher than, you know, the concession stands, and then you have the roustabouts, and then you just have the general cleanup crew, which is usually, if it's a really small operation, the roustabouts and the cleanup crew are the same people. So the same people who are building everything and the same people cleaning up and tearing down. And then and also we need to talk about, you know, how big are we talking? Are we talking about 3 or 4 rides? You know, what kind of are we going to have? I guess the attractions would be the thing, is that we're talking like the normal stuff, like the of course you got to have something that spins, the whirligig or whatever. You got to have a fun house, you got to have a Ferris wheel, you got to have the game booths, the concession stands. What am I missing? We could even have a petting zoo. A lot of these have them. The animals are never treated well, so that's one thing that we would have to keep in mind. If we're going to be realistic, they're not treated well, but we could also subvert expectations by having them treated better than even some of the people that work there. That would be interesting. Let's see here. Yeah.
Probably something medium, like not like maybe this John Waters dude, maybe he built this from the ground up, you know, like this is it's part of why people respect him. And the fact that he has a heart for runaways and just people who are down and out and down on their luck, and he believes in second chances, rather than like a cult personality where it's like, you know, follow me. You know, it's easy to follow him because he's worth following, and just because he's a good guy who wants to get laid all the time.
I love that. I love that character sheet, man. Just a really good dude who's all about helping people, but he's also about getting some punani. It's like he's got to end every night. But you know, but then what kind of mood is he in on the rare night when he can't? You know, that's another topic I'd like to
watch out.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like there's something that he does when he can't find anybody to go back to his trailer with. That's something that he does, maybe not drinking, but something like he'll walk around, you know, swinging his cane or like aggressive. I don't know.
You mean other than masturbate all night?
Yeah, exactly. Because we wouldn't be able to show that, right? Or we could be like, oh, he's gonna give himself a beating later on. Like that could be like someone seeing him stomping through late at night alone. And he's like, oh, I guess he's going to beat himself.
Yeah, the trailer rocks regardless of whether he's in there by himself or not.
Oh, that's good. I love that. Yeah, that's hey Lee, hey J Rod. Yeah, barkers. We definitely got to have at least one barker, and they're usually out front of the sideshow or the fun house. Man, I got to get to writing. Well, now is the best time. I mean, you can be here and listen to us, but if you got writing to do, man, go write. We'll probably get started. Well, I'm sure. I mean, we want to jump into this as soon as possible. I don't know if you want to do tomorrow morning. I am 100% free all week. The only thing I have to do after we get done here is shoot videos. But other than that, I'm completely free. We got a lot done. I'm pretty we can jump right into this as soon as you want to. I think it'd be interesting if we go live tomorrow or whenever you're free next. We go live. You start writing, and I will just literally just sit here and read what you come up with and kind of bounce back and forth. I don't know if you get distracted when people
I'm talk. A very, very slow writer, so a lot of my writing is just me looking, you know,
looking around. It just
and because I don't know if it's because I type faster than I can think, or I don't know what it is. I do get easily distracted, and dialogue is one thing I can rip right through because it's my favorite thing to write.
Same here. Yeah.
And that's where that's really where I don't know where these things are headed. And I just love, or like when a character is first introduced that I didn't know they were going to be a part of this, then I can take off. But Yeah, it can take me a while to write something. And like I said, I can sit there and stare for a full minute and then write a sentence or four.
It's funny because I write the exact opposite way. I see through my words. So what I end up doing is I will just word vomit on the page, and like a 7 line opening will end up getting trimmed down to like 2 or 3, if even that. Because I always go back and find ways that I can say everything that I said in the least amount of words, especially like something like south of here. Now with shit like everything is horrible now, shit like that, man. Most of that didn't get rewritten. That was just that was more of a long form kind of thing. The short and punchy doesn't work for something like that. I haven't found a short and punchy doesn't work very well in horror. Period. It works better in crime and literary fiction and stuff like Chuck Palahniuk and damn near every popular crime writer or horror writer. Once you start, you hear this complaint a lot with horror novels, like it's too wordy. Or with Stephen King, you hear it constantly. He overwrites because it's more about the themes and the characters and the situation than it is about the horror. So he's building all this stuff up. So yeah, you understand what I'm getting at. But anyways, with
I can't, for some reason, I can't vomit the words out. Like I wish that I could, and I don't know why. And I do the Lansdale thing where it's like my first draft is really clean. It's not as clean as it's going to be, but it's pretty darn clean. And so at the end of whatever writing session, I'm pretty happy with the word order, the placement. Right. Maybe that's what slows me down because I tend to make sure that I'm really happy with I mean, it's not perfect. Things will be rearranged.
Yeah.
But I wish I didn't do it like that, because there's something about just finishing the book that is so encouraging. Going through further drafts is so much easier for me.
That's how I feel too, and that's why that's why I don't mind word vomiting, even though it's like double work for me. I like doing it because that's how I see. All the options where you will stop and be like, staring off for a minute, seeing what's happening, all the different possibilities that you could do next. I literally just write down all the possibilities. And I do that so I don't lose my momentum. Because as soon as I start editing my own stuff, the story is done. Like I completely lose any interest in the story whatsoever. So I have to get the story out first. And if that drives you nuts, I'm sorry, but I will at least, I'll try to do a little more of that shoot, because also South of Here was written longhand, so I really had to choose my words because I couldn't just like highlight a bunch of stuff and then delete it. So I can work either way. I just work.
You just write how you feel comfortable writing.
I am. But I'm just letting you know that if you see like a whole paragraph of stuff that like makes no sense in sequence, I'm literally writing out everything that I see, and I will go back and pick one, or we can even talk about which one you like best. Because me and Darren did that, me and TC did that. So yeah, I definitely just keep in mind that I am not concrete on anything that comes out of this brain. Everything can go other places. It can be cannibalized and used for something else. It does not have to be here. Any of my ideas or any of my writing, I do not have ego when it comes to that stuff. I'm perfectly all right with you rewriting my stuff. I don't care. As long as the end product is to both of our likings. That's it. And I know you're on the same page. So just expect it. In case you look over at my page and goes, what the fuck is he on about? The dude was just coming out of the door and now he's walking back in the door. What the fuck is he doing? That's the kind of shit that I do. Also, if I don't have a name for someone right off the bat, my keyword is panda fucker. So if you see panda fucker pop up, it's just because it's easy to search in search and find. When I finally figure out a name I want to call someone, then I'll just go back, search panda fucker, Control F, and I will fill in the blanks for all the panda fuckers. So
I do that with parentheses, but I'm a little bit more not so vague in what, like, and the lake looked like parentheses something cool here. Parentheses, so it's like my mind isn't in that space right now, or names, like,
Mhm.
or if I can't remember, she was born in, what the frick year was she born? Parentheses, question mark, what year, parentheses, and then I'll just search for all the question marks or all the or parentheses, and then I fill in the blanks later.
Can I ask you a question? I don't know if you've ever done this. I've seen this a lot. James Newman did it in, I believe, Animosity, and I've seen a lot of authors do it. Do you have any idea why sometimes they won't give the date? They'll give like 19 and then an M dash, or 18 M dash, or 220 M dash. Like they don't give an actual date. You have any idea why people do that? Have you even ever seen that? Because I can't get any answers. I've talked to multiple editors, multiple authors, and they're like, I have no idea why, and I don't know James Newman well enough to be like, yo, dog, why you do this?
Right off the bat, it just makes me think that they're trying to lengthen the relevancy of the story, maybe. Like when you watch a movie and it says present day, and it's like, well, this movie was made 40 years
Right.
ago, so
I got you. Okay,
so they don't
yeah.
have to pinpoint it. That's my guess.
That makes more sense than anything I could think of. I was thinking maybe that they were trying to impose a feeling of not really confusion, but a feeling that the place and time isn't important. But if that's the case, then why even mention the year, the prefix? Why mention it's 1900s kind of deal? I just find it odd, and for some odd reason that popped up when you were talking about parentheses. Things like that. And for the longest time, the reason why I brought that up is for the longest time, I thought that it was because that was just a leftover that they didn't decide on a date. So they just left it over. But then I started reading it in other books and I was like, no, people do this shit all the time.
I read it. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm also wondering if that's how it initially happened. And then other people just started picking it up. Like it was
I don't know why I'm doing this. It's
exactly. So anyways, all right, we're an hour in. I think we got everything we need to get started. When do you want to do this? Is there anything else you want to talk about before we go?
I don't think so.
I'm ready to dive into this son of a bitch. I ain't gonna lie. I'll probably spend like the first 15, 30 minutes just like watching you and reading what you put down and formulating, watching you formulate the voice right off the bat, because with first person that's insanely easy because they're talking as soon as you get in there. So I'll watch you do that, and we will, and then I'll try and see if naturally I know if I can already vibe with it. I might go ahead and start writing chapter 2 if you have any idea where chapter 1 is going to end, that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm fucking excited. I said yesterday, I was just the idea, the starting point, the on the run, the obvious road trip aspect, because they're going to be moving from town to town. Also, I kind of like the idea of this going from like either Florida to California or somewhere southern to western, and only doing the lower United States. Okay. And because I have a lot of travel time and history going back and forth to California. So I know where all the cool small towns are, all that shit. So if we stay in that realm, and I've gotten to know people in these smaller areas, like, Las Cruces, there's I believe it's Fort Hood, in Texas. There's a bunch of different places that I've spent a considerable amount of time, several days camping or whatever, all the way across. So if you want to do something like that, I know you're more northern. No, you're Where are you now? I always get this confused. You're on the East Coast.
Southwest Michigan, but the only books that I write that actually take place here are the Jack's books.
Gotcha. But you lived in California for a time, right?
No.
Why the fuck do I always do this with you? I know we've had this.
I know you do. I've never even stepped foot there.
I have no idea why. It's like every time I even think about you, it's like, this dude's from California. I was like, no, he's not. I don't know why. But anyways, so yeah, I have hella experience across the bottom. I lived in California for a total of 15 years. I've also lived in Alabama, Georgia, Virginia, Maine. But pretty much it's only been the East Coast and down here. So, but I can get this part right. I never really got into the cultures up north. So more about down here is what I like to do. So if you're down with that, I
Yeah.
think it'd be cool to have the circuit run from like Long Beach to fucking maybe not Pensacola. I kind of want to make this more small townish because the bigger cities
For
would have
sure.
their own shit, you know?
Yeah, and it would make sense. Let's say they only have so much for their yeah, like what they have isn't really meant for big cities anyway. They're like
Right.
it's like
Exactly.
they've got medium sized kind of, and some of it's kind of jank anyway.
Yeah, if they got more than like 500 people in a night, they'd run out of fucking food. That kind of shit.
Yeah.
I love that idea, and that also gives us more time with like the cities that are a bust, because what people don't realize is they don't always make money. When they'll stop in a place, sometimes just putting the show up, but is a complete bust because they don't even make the money back that it took to get there. Which is why a lot of them pre-sell tickets nowadays, but they couldn't do that back then. So definitely we could have some downtime where they end up in a location where nothing is going on, and it was just well, like I said, it's a bust. There's also something to consider something to think about. Every single carnival, circus, any of those things have their own punishment scales. Like if you do something wrong that breaks the code, whatever code is set up by the hierarchy, there is some kind of punishment that comes along with that. Some of them do 5 minutes alone, where the person that you wronged literally gets 5 minutes alone with you. And if you watch Carnival, it's what the box, the chest. Do you remember that? Anyways, they stuff you in a chest, and then they ride around with you in the chest. And if you survive, you survive. If you don't, you don't.
Dang. No, I don't remember that.
Yeah. So there's always some kind of. So we could even throw something like that in there for a little more. I don't know, a little more realistic tone there, because they're not all going to get along. Things are going to happen. So we could even fit something in like basically what I'm saying is there is so much to plumb here. There is so much to dig into with just that culture, that the middle of the book is going to be a cakewalk, at least for me. Because I've done this so much. It's like I said, it's my favorite genre, and that's all I've been researching for the past 3 years. So I'm super excited to get into that section of the book. I'm also going to have fun at the beginning because I love the family dynamic of, everybody against this poor kid except for his cousin. And I love that the cousin, his informant, is going to be like 9 years old. That's just absolutely brilliant. I've never seen that before ever. So, and that's I also love that was a mixture of our ideas where I came up with the informant and you came up with the fact that he's going to be like 9 years old. It's fucking beautiful, man. This is the magic I'm talking about. So yeah, I'm excited.
I just thought of an idea for the the reason why they keep the carnival antagonist there, the Ferris wheel guy.
Yeah.
The reason why he's still there and tolerated is because he actually owns the Ferris wheel. He brought
that's perfect, because the operators owner that is another whole dynamic in there, is owner operators versus just people hired to run rides that the owner owns. That is perfect. So it could literally be like the only, and that would boost him up the hierarchy to be right underneath. And that's what I was trying to get at earlier. I didn't express myself right, but in a carnival setting, the ride operators that own their rides are going to be higher than the ones who just run them. So yeah, yes, perfect. I like that. And if they lose that, that's a major moneymaker.
You got to have it. You got to have a Ferris wheel.
Exactly, you have to. Yeah, I'm excited. So I'm good. Anything else you want to go over?
I don't think so. I won't write anything until tomorrow when we're doing this live.
Do you want? Well, I mean, it all depends on you. If you want to go live on your own channel, and I'll just sit there and watch you write, or I know everybody's expecting to watch the entire process. So how do you want to do this?
We can just do it tomorrow then.
Okay.
I will try to at least have an idea of where I'm started, so you guys aren't just staring at me twirling my hair while I
right.
I
got you. I also don't want to limit us. So if you need to go ahead and write something, go ahead and do it. If you already got it locked into your head, I'm saying I'm fine with go ahead and do it, because there are bound to be times when I want to get something done that I can't stream. Like I'll be in bed and something will come to me, and I'll have to write something out so I don't lose it.
Yeah.
So there's bound to be that. So if you want to go ahead and start, man, go ahead and start, and that way that we have a jumping off point tomorrow. You might have the first chapter done, and then I can be working on 2 while you're working on 3. And we end up writing a fucking 300-page book in like 2 weeks. Is what's going to end up happening, because you only really have to write 25,000 words. I only have to write 25,000 words, and dude, I can write 25,000 words in like a fucking weekend. So do what you need to do today or tonight, and we will come back tomorrow, and then people are going to be able to read it anyways. So I'm pretty sure that they are actually going to appreciate more seeing what you already have done, instead of sitting there waiting for you to like you said, come up with it on the spot. So
how are we going to do that? Share screen, or how is that going to work?
Yeah, what we do is there's options down here. Where is it? I can't remember.
It's under present, I think.
Yeah, you go over and share screen. It's literally that button. You click on share screen, and then you click your Word document. It'll show up in the list, and then you can share it. And it'll only show. Good Lord, why does it look like that? Anyways, okay. It'll only show the screen that you click on. It'll only show that window. So if you click out of that window, you're not gonna show your desktop or whatever sensitive things you might have. No, just kidding. You're not gonna show off the rest of your computer. It's specific to that window. Make sure before we go that you can share your screen from your end without us having to pay for it.
I should be able to share screen, and then I can either.
Hell yeah, Tim! Good job, man. Tim sold a first horror story and have another one coming out on the Nightlight podcast. You guys are a huge inspiration. Awesome. I'm glad we're helping, man. Yeah, I see it. And then all I got to do is add it.
Yeah.
See? And then we have the never-ending stream.
Yeah.
You can, so yeah, we can do that. And then let's see if we can both share at the same time. Let me open up a Word doc.
Yeah, let me open a thing here.
I'll open up Knickknack. And then share screen. Window. Why is it not showing up? Chrome tab, window. It's not even showing up for me. Well, that's not good. Hang on. Screen sharing was canceled. Make sure you click share. Yeah, I get that. Share screen. Window. Yeah, mine's not showing up as an option. I can share like my Chrome tab. But all right, let me restart Word, or maybe make it. Oh, is it because I had it minimized?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's because I had it minimized. Oh, nope. Go back up. Open. And then click there. Click back over here. Okay, so this would be mine. Can you now share yours? Yes, add to stream. Oh, Lord. How do we... It's over mine.
It seems like it would allow it to split it.
It doesn't look like it. So no matter, we can only share our screens at one at a time, because every time I click yours, add to screen, mine goes away, and then when I do, you can't have both of them on the screen at the same time. Hang on, full screen layout. Let me try it. No, don't want to do that. Stop screen. Oh, nope. Oh well. So we won't be able to show both of us. But we can just hop back and forth, like let people read what we came up with. Have one of us up there at one time, and then just keep swapping them out. We can do that.
Yeah, okay, that'll work.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that works. We'll figure it out. Also, I think what I can do on my end, it would take a lot of research, but I have OBS, which is a streaming video recording software. I don't know if you know what that is. Okay. what I think I can do is I can do something to where I use OBS on my side to share my screen, where I'm just a little, it'll be my screen, and then I'll be down here in one of these corners, and then you'll be able to share your screen. I might be able to do something like that, but at the same time, when we share a screen, the screen takes up the majority of this, so mine would be tiny. But I don't know. I don't know about schedule, Tim. Right now we've been doing every day, but I don't know if that'll keep up or not. And there are bound to be times, like I said, where we're writing and not streaming. So, but you guys will will be able to read everything as the days go on. I'm sure we'll go over like whatever Chad writes tonight or any point in time. I will, of course, have to read it before we move on, and I'll try to do that on stream. So. All right. Well, I got to get out of this chair. Thanks again, Chad. And again, this is a fantastic fucking idea.
Yeah.
This is amazing. I love it. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm gonna go ahead and go. I got some videos to shoot and all that stuff. How would I be able to read everything? It's literally gonna be on the stream. Yeah, it's gonna be on the stream. So you're gonna watch us write. You just can't watch us both write at the same time. But we might figure something out. Who knows? This is just an experiment, and I'm glad to have you guys along. But yeah, thanks again, Chad. Until next time, all hail the chair. Bye-bye.